make sure we're not
Giving
giving a whole preview. Yeah, exactly. We got the bulge and the pee. That's okay. You know those mythical sort of creatures you've heard of before, i.e. the Loch Ness Monster, a unicorn, and you're like, I've heard of them, but have I seen them? Do they exist? Well, today we are with one of sorts, but neither of the above. We are with the gay, black, conservative man. I know. No, it exists. I know. Amir Odom, welcome to Cancel Me Baby.
Thank
Baby
you for having
in
me.
the flesh. This is the first in person here in Nashville Cancel Me Baby ep. So baby,
I'm honored to be the first.
It is a special moment.
It is. And I'm always getting canceled, so I mean, hey, it's fitting. Cancel me, baby.
No, this is so perfect. So he walks in, there are these like faux cotton ball things going on, and he's like, excuse me, I'm triggered by this scenario, which I purposefully planted to get his reaction. Like, yes, it's all a scheme. So
disrespect.
Yes. So truly, the audacity. So off the bat, before we get into like the Kanye resurrecting like Yeezus of it all, my viewers know we're not going to get into like the nitty gritty of policy, of legislature, of all of that, but we're going to talk about, you know, the pop culture, the social aspect.
We have to,
because you and I have a lot of views. Okay.
Yes.
And your IG, so if you guys don't know Amir Odom, not to be confused with Lamar Odom, I know they're both black. I know that makes me a racist.
Everyone says that. Like, is he your cousin? And I'm like, I wish I'd get that check.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. It's like keep the brothels and just hand me the checks. Like it's fine. It's fine. You have blown up on IG. Congratulations.
Thank you for that. It's been crazy the way it's just expanded, but I'm grateful for it. I'm just sharing the content, and people are really receptive of it, and I'm just glad that it's blown up the way it has.
Here's the thing: you have a very sort of kind of level-headed, like, let's take a beat because the mainstream is psychotic, and let's look at all this from the view of a black man, and people, it really resonates with them. You're like, let's just like take a sec here.
I'm like, let's slow it down because mainstream media is absolutely batshit crazy, and I'm like, let's knock it down 3 notches, dissect the topic, and really go through it for what it is, and not just go off the face value, but really like dive deep into it and say, okay, why are people saying this, or why are they promoting this, and just really getting into it.
So with that being said, though, do you ever feel like, because I see you're making your rounds, like you are over here, like Daily Wire is calling you, like you are a hot commodity.
I try.
And he's like, yes, like, you know, the bulge may be hidden, but it is a moment. Okay. Yes, exactly. Do you ever feel like, and same thing, like say with the Candace Owens or the Kanyes, like you guys are like pawns, right? I feel like people on the left would say like, oh, they're just like the token this or the token that, for people on the right, as if you speak for every black person, right? Like, what is your view on that?
I just say, like, you know, I'm my own person. I may be black, but my melanin doesn't speak for my mindset. I speak for me. Amir Odom speaks for Amir Odom. And so I just tell people, like, hey, like, I'm gay and black, but, like, on one end, I do have a lot of conservative policies and ideas that I fall truth for, but I also, like, love psychedelics and smoke weed. And that's not pretty conservative. So, I mean, hey, I just do my own thing, and I keep it moving. And people are like, oh, you're a token, you're this, you're that. And I'm just like, well, you're just brainwashed to me.
But the funny thing is, they would think you're brainwashed, right?
Oh, yeah,
like
they swear I'm brainwashed.
Exactly.
They swear that I'm
you're not really gay. You're not really black.
Oh,
you're just, right?
People say that I'm just playing this part so I can get a check. And I'm like, well, where's my check? Because if I really wanted the money,
where?
I'd be the total opposite. I'd be like a Ricky Thompson or a Denzel Dion. Like, I'd be over there making racks. But instead, I'm not. So where is that money at?
Okay, talk to me, though. You made and I think a lot of people resonate with what you're saying. It's like, I'm a little bit over here, but I'm a little bit over here, okay? A lot of people feel that way, and I feel like, for me, even, like, I have, especially being new to Tennessee, I've noticed already how puritanical and uptight people here and conservatives here, i.e. like the Candace Owens, right?
Mhm.
I'll call this out, can be around sex and sexuality.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was hanging out with a gay friend of mine the other
Mhm.
night, and he said to me, Taylor, there's like 2-3 gay bars here.
Yes, that's it. It's all
Talk
on
to
one
me about
stream.
that experience. Yeah, and like kind of having a foot in both worlds,
Yeah.
right?
So it's funny because I don't have a lot of gay friends because of the content that I post, because I'm not too big on the modern LGBTQIXYZ.
You forgot the H, you forgot the D, you forgot the 2 squared. Excuse me.
All of it. I'm just not with
rude.
it. But
Rude.
there's truth to that. How in Nashville there's only 2-3 gay clubs, and that's pretty much it.
Is there a time when you're listening to like high profile conservative commentators around sex and sexuality and you're like,
it's why
get with the times, guys?
It's why I can't really listen to too many of them, because at one point you're just being fake.
Well, that's the thing.
It's like
half
we
the
all
time,
have sex. Like we all have these sides of us. Quit acting like it doesn't exist. And I get. I'm not saying you don't have to. You have to shout it out at the rooftop.
Sure.
But just be real with it.
That's a thing.
Like, stop shivering in your boots because you see some girl has a shoulder cut off. Like,
I mean,
and they're like, oh, you can't really be conservative. You can't be on the right if you are wearing a mini skirt, or if you're doing this or that, you're wearing bikinis, or you're dressing type of weird. It's like, just stop.
That's the thing that really bothers me. I even follow like the politics, right? And it's just very much like, and look, like, I'm not trying to diss, like, if you have a traditional lifestyle, sweetheart, like, go about your day.
That's fine.
But, exactly. But I don't like how it's perpetuating this thing of, like, if you are not home by 5 with a fresh apple pie baked for your man, you are going to burn a long death in hell, sweetheart.
That's
and I'm
how
like,
they act. That's exactly how they act. And I'm like, this is not realistic. This is not the truth.
And the funny thing is, I talked about this on a recent episode, is I feel like these high-profile people, like, through time, who do preach these things are the first ones caught, like, with their pants down in some orgy like you could have never imagined, right? So like where's the lie?
It's just like all the men who are like homophobic, those are the gay ones. Like people who are comfortable in their sexuality, they're comfortable talking about anything, or like my straight friends who are fine with getting naked in front of me, they are really straight because they know I'm not on anything with them. They're just changing, like they're treating me like a bro, like in football or something. But the ones like, I don't want to change in front of Amir, like he's gay. Well, first of all, I don't want you. Second of all, that makes me think you're gay. If you're like that insecure, where if you see me, you're like, oh, maybe he'll think I'm gay or this, that, and the other. It's like, no.
It's funny you brought up bro and all this because we are going to talk about Billie Eichner's Bros
the movie
a little bit later. I don't even know. My mind's like going in a million places, right? Because also I'm going to talk to you about, I talked to you a little bit about it when we were gearing up for this. But funny enough, I feel like I ended my week this week with you, and I started my week on Monday with the director, a white woman director of a film called Deconstructing Karen, which we'll dive into it, which basically is to show like white women how racist and rotten they are, and like all of that.
I'm already stressed.
But stress, like we're too blessed to be stressed, okay?
Period.
But it's just, it goes because I'm so having a background in Hollywood. Obviously, like even that movie, it was executive produced by Anna Paquin, huge star, was in True Blood. And so the mainstream is so overbearing because it's like this orthodoxy of it has to be this way.
And they all think the same exact way.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why Kanye,
love him.
A little edge on your seat for those, okay? Suspense moment. Kanye. Yeah. Is he becoming... like he went on Tucker now, the White Lives Matter shirts, like where do I even begin? What did the White Lives Matter shirts with him and Candace Owens wearing, like causing the internet to literally explode and lose their minds? What did that mean to you? Like what was he doing there with that?
It meant the obvious. To me, it meant that white lives matter. You're white and I think you matter. Boom.
And I think
like boom that, and then also thought about the hypocrisy that is Black Lives Matter. I personally do not like Black Lives Matter. That's not my crew. I don't vibe with them. Right. And I know that Candace Owens and Kanye West doesn't either. And I think showing and saying white lives matter, people are like, oh, well, that's obvious. Okay, cool. Point proven. And then some people are like, well, that's stupid. Why are you even pointing that out? It's like, that's the point. Like, Black Lives Matter is stupid too. Like, it's fraudulent.
Well, that is the whole thing in and of itself, how they're
Right.
literal scam artists, like
Oh,
buying
yeah.
mansions in like Punta Cana and like literally in
Oh,
Cannes,
yeah.
like having the time of their
Everyone's
lives.
donated. Everyone put the black square up, but it's like, okay, what's changed? Like,
But
nothing.
here's the thing, like,
Mhm.
is there something to be said about, like, obviously, like, it is a Friday and police brutality is a heavy subject. Like,
Right.
again, like, we're not going to get in the weeds of, but, like, is there something to be said about, like, how we're seeing Black people in broad daylight, not armed,
Right.
getting killed, this, that, the other thing?
It doesn't happen.
I'm sorry.
Welcome.
The cotton over there just came. I can hear it blowing in the wind. It just came to life. Excuse me?
It doesn't happen. Like, if you look at any police brutality case, more often than not, they were resisting arrest, reaching for an arm, or doing something that caused them getting shot to happen. And at that, if you boil it down to like the true, like raw cases of like, yeah, that's fucked up, you're talking like 3 a year, which about 12 people get struck by lightning a year. So I'm more likely to get struck by lightning than shot by a cop unarmed as a Black man.
See, I feel like it's just such a complex issue. This is what I got into it with the documentary director about. Again, while it's so layered, there's a part of me that feels it's like we don't know what to believe. I think just from my experience
It's
and
the
like
media.
Yes.
It's the media misconstruing
It's so
things.
sensationalized that half the time we're like, what do we believe? But then like I'll have experiences talking to cops or seeing seeing people in the field be like, no, there's definitely underlying systemic like biases shit going on. We need to clean up. But again, the media doesn't do any favors. And then on top of it, if you so much as challenge it, it's your white supremacist, or in your case, you're brainwashed, you're not really Black. Uncle Tom, yes.
And I just wrote about it in this post on my Instagram on how the media can change the narrative of something to be based on race. So, for example, one headline will say, white cop shoots Black guy and he dies. Versus, a police officer shot an unarmed male on accident thinking that it was their taser and they just got booked for manslaughter. Both are true, but which one causes people to go in the streets and riot? It's the way the media pushes out these things. It's so unfortunate.
I mean, I remember during the height of BLM, so I'm in LA, you know, literally hearing this on my doorstep. And I remember at the time saying, I'm not okay with businesses being destroyed. And it's almost like the battle, I've talked about this before, but like the battle of the woke causes. Because I remember at the time seeing stories of people who immigrated, left their families, did everything to build these businesses, lost everything. But then people on the other end of it are like, well, we're justified, burn it to the ground. And it's like, oh my God, like which wins? It's like,
it's so self-destructing. And that's where we get into the topic of, you know, people are like, oh, why are you bringing up Black on Black crime? And it's like, well, as a Black man, yeah, I think Black lives matter, obviously. But we don't even think our own lives matter. Like, why is it that roughly, I'll say 4% of the nation of being Black men ages 15 to 25 make up 4% of the nation? Why do they account for over 50% of all the murders and crimes? So it's like, statistics aren't racist. So it's like on one end, you hate when people are being judgmental or stereotypical, but on the other end, it's like, okay, if I know that majority of the murderings happening in this nation is made by people that look like me or my age, what do you do?
But the thing that's interesting is like facts don't seem to matter. It's the most bizarre thing. It's so Orwellian. It's like
it's the attention span. It's just like, what's the headline saying, and then that's what the people go off of.
It's so crazy.
It's insane. But yeah, I loved Kanye's shirt and Candace Owens saying the White Lives Matter because it provokes people to look into this again. Because the next time, when's the last time you heard about Black Lives Matter? It's been quiet.
When's the last time they've heard about it? They're 3 pina coladas in a day in their estate.
During an election season. That's the only time you hear about them. And so I love that they did this because it makes people have conversations like this. And it's like, why did Kanye wear that? Why are people pissed? Why did Kanye say BLM is a scam? What makes BLM a scam? Like, I love people diving in and asking these questions for themselves because ultimately, It makes everybody come together because we're all on the same page.
Well, so if you guys don't know, it came to light. There was always some like sketchy, slim shady business over there because people
Always.
like, even I think it was Breonna Taylor's mom or somebody who became the poster child.
Mother.
They're like, we haven't seen a dime. Like, where is all this money? They're exploiting my child and monetizing off her, and I haven't seen a single dollar bill.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's like, where is this money going? Sure enough, we find out they're buying like mansions. Like I said, they're buying,
spending the money, buying all the security, and it's like, for what? Like, really, literally for what?
But you know what's interesting? So even looking at the headlines, right? And part of me is like, did Kanye do that because it's really like white lives matter? Because like the truth is like white lives have mattered, or is it he's just being like F you guys to Black Lives Matter and like sticking it to them?
It's a total troll.
You're right, like a troll
it's
moment.
It's a total troll moment. Like he even said that he thought it was hilarious. He just throw that on shirt, and like it's dropping sometime today, and I will be buying a lot.
You will?
Oh yeah, I'd wear it.
He's like, and the hat and the socks.
Like I'd wear it.
And the Yeezys. But what do you think of, again, because my background is hobnobbing, being with these celebrities and the tastemakers, and it's so interesting to me how, again, it's like what I love to call woke amnesia. Like like Kanye is their guy. He, again, is like a change maker. He's a pioneer. He's an innovator. And now suddenly, again, he's this, you know, conservative pawn, right?
Like all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But he highlights it all so much. It's so iconic the way he just... And he was talking about this on the podcast last night with Tucker Carlson. He's like, he was the first one to say, hey, rappers, let's stop saying the F word. Let's stop calling gay people, you know, that. And he did. And then all of a sudden he makes a song about Chick-fil-A and all the gay people are like, down with Kanye. It's like, first off, he was the one fighting for us in the beginning. You can't win.
Speaking of... Well, right, and like even looking at headlines, I have it in my little notes here, which no peeking, Amir, because I don't normally, again, have it in person. But here are some headlines talking about him, right? Mm-hmm. Nonsense, dumb, angry, again, like a token, that whole thing. Mm-hmm. Which you're shaking your head, so obviously you don't agree with for aforementioned reasons. But you bring up how I talk about this a lot on my show with people who, again, are really thought leaders in media from all sides of the aisle. Your thoughts on the N-word in music? Because you talk about how he was like, don't use this, don't use that.
I'm fine with it.
You are?
Yeah, I'm fine with white people saying it. I'm fine with anyone saying the word, rapping the words, because here's the deal. When it comes to
I hate the word, it gives me anxiety. I'm like, I hear it in the car, and I'm like, I'm looking around, I'm like, did anyone see it playing? Were they reading my lips telepathically?
It's like, I'm over it. Like, I'm over slavery. I'm just over it. It's a word. It's the N-word. It's a word. I'm dead. If you are so mentally unstable and weak to where you allow a word to ruin your day, you have some reflection to take part in. Like, I'm sorry, half the white people coming up that say the N-word in a song or just say it, they just mean my friend.
So you're a Morgan Wallen fan?
Yeah.
Because I've had people on my show be like, and I'm not, it's their view. Like, our views are all our views. Like, it's cool. That's the point of the show. Like, bring it on, have at it. But they will be like, I don't want to hear it uttered off your lips. I don't want to see Morgan Wallen, your toast.
So like, backwards going, not Kanye. Kendrick Lamar brought on that white girl on stage, and she said the N-word, rapping to his song, and it's like,
oh, he did? I didn't even know this.
She didn't call you a slave then to go pick up cotton. She literally just rapped a lyric in your song. Like, context matters.
It does.
And majority of the time I hear the N-word come out of a white person's mouth, it means, hey, my friend, or they're rapping a song. And the 2 times I've been called that word, with context applied, was 2 old people with Alzheimer's. And I don't even...
They didn't even know any better.
They didn't even know any better. I was like, you know what, you good.
Listen... This is how I feel out of touch the media is too, because when I first came here, it was the whole Mara Morris, Brittany Aldean thing. I did an episode on that. And of course, like Billboard, right? Like all the mainstream politically correct outlets are going to talk about like why Marin is the best and she's woke and all this, right? And in one of the articles, it was like, CMAs for nominating Morgan Wallen for Artist of the Year. And I'm like, most of the country, like, you guys are out of touch.
You're losing your base. Like, it's your base. Like, NASCAR having some, I think NASCAR made, like, a gay logo, or NASCAR did something. And I'm like...
Who didn't?
That's fair. I'm like, you're not even getting to your base. Like, you're mad at CMAs? So sorry.
The ghost of Kanye's calling. He wants to be dialed into the moment.
Imagine. It's like, why even? That is majority white people calling these shots. It's a lot of white people saying, "Oh, you shouldn't say the N-word," or "Oh, we should cancel this person," and it's like, stop.
So what to you is, because you're like I'm over slavery, as if it's like a trend, right? Like I'm over like the black boots.
I'm over it.
What to you though is like a healthy balance of, this is something I grapple with on my show all the time, of acknowledging the past. Again, like, I'm Jewish. Am I trying to hear about the Holocaust every day? No. Like, again, moved past it. Like, Hitler, you had your time, sweetie. What it to you is, again, walking that healthy line of acknowledging our past, acknowledging maybe there's some trickled effects, like we're not totally right, and also being like, I'm not a victim. Tomorrow's a new day. We're making a new wave,
I would say
right?
Focusing on the solutions. Focusing on the change that's been in place. Like train people and teach people about slavery, cool, but also show where we're at today. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going through what my grandfather went through. And black people in the streets acting like they're the ones getting bit by dogs and sprayed by water hose. It's like, excuse me, it's almost a disgrace. It's like, my ancestors could not speak. I can now, so I'm going to take advantage of what I can do now because I am my ancestors' dream. I can do whatever I want to do. Me and you are on the same level.
How do you feel about, listen, I love that mindset as a woman with men and gender equality. I get shit from, mainstream woke all the time. I come up against this in my interviews because I'm like, I am not a victim. Like, at all. I am not suppressed, and I'm going to go in and fucking crush it because I feel like it today, right? It goes beyond everything. Again, women and race and weight and body image. Like, what is it with the victim mentality that it's like the new...
It's an easy cop-out. It's an easy way to gain attention. It's an easy way to make money. It's an easy way to feel like you're special.
And you're owed something, right?
Yeah, and you're
owed something.
Prime example, I think the name is Dylan Mulvaney, the trans girl, man, I don't know, but the guy that's like on Instagram, he's like, oh, this is day 54 of being a girl, this is day 56 of being a girl, you guys see him? Now, Forbes brought her on as a women's, a foundational woman something, and it's like, he came into this year as a man. And now, because he said he was trans, because he went through all this stuff, not really any transitions, just wearing a dress and acting like a girl, now Forbes cut him in the check.
Person of the year, woman of the year, woman, like...
And it's rude. I think it's rude on your part.
I think believe me, I've done many of episodes on this topic. Like, I could literally go on.
It's wild.
I could go on and on, but... And the fact that as a woman, I'm being like, okay, that's cool. Like, do what you have to do over there. And if you, like, personally, truly, in your soul, identify this way. But, again, woke amnesia... 100. But, again, woke amnesia, like, 25 seconds ago, I was at the Women's March in LA with everyone burning bras. Yay, rah, rah. Women, we've been suppressed biological women. I think they forgot. It was a long dream. Like, I don't know where it went.
They're not consistent, and it blows my mind.
It drives me insane. Like, I just think that we need to have space and respect and acknowledgement and opportunity for everyone in their own lanes. But now with everybody stepping on everyone's gowns 24/7, I'm like, excuse me? Like,
if everyone had their own lane and kept it pushing, it would be great.
But what do you think about quotas in schools, and given that, like, say, minorities haven't been given equal opportunity in the past, and now they've quotas for all kinds of things, even in movies? It's so funny. I interviewed a director yesterday, and he had like a Freudian slip. He's the guy who created and wrote Old School, cult classic, iconic. And it was so funny because he's like, so I say to him, obviously a much more diverse cast than Old School, and he says to me something like, we actually looked at the world around us and decided to pick what we wanted. We didn't have like a checklist and like force like studio movies. And I'm like, did he just inadvertently confirm that? It was really funny. So
quotas, I get it. It's very sincere. It's like, oh, hey, there's not enough black people here. Let's add some black people here. At the end of the day, black people make change this. White people make up over 75% of this nation. There's just going to be a lot of white people. Like, that's fine. Like, for example, like, adding in, oh, we need a certain amount of black people in this school. We need a certain amount of black people in this show. It's like, that's not realistic. That's not the world. That's not the America that we live in. It's not equal parts black and white. Nowhere near. It would be. Stop killing each other, but that's another topic. But instead, we have a lot more white people, so you're going to see a lot more white people. I don't know why it's not common sense.
What do you think it is about, like, this is the second time you brought up, it's like black on black crime or black crime. Like, why is it that people turn a blind eye to that? Like, the CNNs, is it just not convenient?
It's not convenient. This is not convenient. I've been trying to destruct this for like the past 2 or 3 years, and it just blows my mind how many people just ignore it. They're like, oh, well, black on black crime, like, well, there's also white on white crime. It's like, I get that, but we make up such a small percent of the country. But if you dive deep into the statistics, it breaks down the narrative, and then you can't make money because you need to make money by pushing out fear. So.
Is, again, like, I'm going to revisit this before we go into the, actually, it's perfect because I want to talk about quickly Candace Owens' movie on BLM.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'll, like, call her out like I did earlier when I see it, but she was pretty funny. She's like, I'm hosting the funeral of BLM, but she's basically doing a whole movie exposing everything. So your thoughts on that, and also kind of what I was saying earlier, like, it's funny because when I look at, like, say, the Daily Wire, it's like, white guy, and then Candace Owens. Like, again, is it, like, a pawn for conservatives to be like, see? Like, she thinks it, so it's true, you know, that kind of thing. Like, the
on
token.
The topic of a pawn, it's like, I see how it can be taken that way, but it's just more receptive for people for it to be coming from the mouth of the community that it's talking about. It's like my platform, obviously I'm black and I'm gay. I talk a lot about black and gay issues, and people share it a lot, because it's coming from that mouth. So you have the left saying, we need to listen to black voices, we need to listen
Not
to
yours, though.
voices.
You don't count. You didn't know? You don't count.
Hello. They're like, you need to listen to black voices. The second the right pumps up a black voice, token. We're following your orders. You said promote black voices.
And, like, notice how Don Lemon isn't a token?
Hello. But Candace is.
That's
like,
a good
let's
point.
get into it. And with her movie coming out, I'm so glad that it's happening. Comes out next Wednesday. It's needed. She goes in deep. I mean, like, she met with George Floyd's family.
Stop.
Oh, yeah. Like, she's in the trenches. Like, she's exposing it all. She goes to the mansion. All the mansions that BLM owns, she goes to all of them, knocks on the door. Like, she's been working on this for the past, like, 2 years.
So needless to say, you're not a fan of, like, the George Floyd erected statues and T-shirts.
No. That's when my account really blew up. It was George Floyd, and then it went into Pride Month, and I was just on it.
You're like, this is my Super Bowl, bitch. Let's go.
And it just blew up. But yeah, I'm not a fan of all that, because I sat down, that's awful. I was actually eating. I was watching popcorn, not because it was funny. But I watched the whole hour-long ordeal with George Floyd. Sat there, watched it, and I came to my own conclusion. And I was like, okay, I understand. And
hold on, you didn't think Derek Chauvin was a total piece of shit, awful, rotten person?
No, not off the rip, no. I know I saw a video of a man saying, I can't breathe, when he was in the backseat alone and no one's touching him. Do I think the knee on the neck was wrong and aided to his death? For sure. But I also think the fentanyl did too. I also think the panic attack did too. There's a lot of things that went into play. Is Derek completely innocent? No. But neither is George. Because if George would have just said, okay, got in the cop car and acted fine, he would still be alive today. But instead he acted a plumb fool. Grown man, plumb fool.
I never even heard anybody, like, peel back the layers like that. I mean, look what it caused around the world, right?
It caused a shit show. Meanwhile, over 500 little black kids have been shot in Chicago, and I haven't heard a peep. But let's give this guy who held a gun at a pregnant woman's belly, let's get her a statue. Let's get him a statue. What does that say to the woman he held at gunpoint? That this man gets a golden statue and a golden casket. I don't understand. Cancel me, baby. I don't understand.
On period, okay? I have to say, I mean, I love even being able to have this conversation, and I say this all the time, and again, this is a cancelable thing to say, but I feel like this is something that white people talk about behind closed doors because they're goddamn petrified. So here's a perfect example. I teased that documentary earlier, and I really want your take on this. So it's called Deconstructing Karen.
Okay.
And the idea is it's a brown woman and a black woman, and they sit around at a dinner party with all these like middle-aged white ladies talking about their experience. Now, every time a white woman is like, we're not all bad, or challenge it, or my kid gets bullied too, they were met with, don't you understand? And I have to say, as a white woman, it did open my eyes. Like, they even ask in it, they're like, okay, point blank, like, would you rather be black than white? And half the women are like, I never thought of it that way, right?
Oh, shit.
But they're met with, every time again, it's like, but we're not bad or something. The two women of color would say, you just erased everything I just said. Like, that's your white supremacy showing. Like, we've been, you know.
And I'm not for that, validating your whole lived experience.
Okay, because they were like, and again, these are two individuals who are not talking for everybody by any means, but they say, like, I've been basically brutalized, marginalized my whole life. Why, you as a white woman, oh, you're sad to hear this? Like, why are your feelings more important than mine? And obviously that causes an adverse reaction to you because I know you don't like that sort of like victim, so to speak, mindset, right? So like what's happening there with, it's interesting because it's like, hear us. It's the same thing with men and women. I make that parallel a lot. It's like, hear us, but like there can't be conversing. It's like, what is that about?
It's a one-way street of just, I'm a victim. Anything you say is out the door because you have white skin, and that's that. Now give me my reparations or give me my quotas, give me my access to the school. Like it's so frustrating because we're all on the same playing field. And I don't like discrediting white people and saying that they don't go through anything just because they're white. I live a way better life than a lot of my white friends I grew up with. And I'm black.
That's interesting. It's like problems are relative sometimes, right? And it's like, because even one of the examples they talk about how their kid is bullied in school for their skin color, which is disgusting and horrible. But the stories of these kids dying by suicide from getting bullied, no matter what color they are a dime a dozen every day.
Put a white kid in an all-black school who's going to get made fun of. It just happens. Like, it's a real life thing. And to act as if white people don't go through anything is just destructive. It's like, who... Yeah, it blows my mind.
And it's like kind of what we were saying with the trans thing. It's like, can we discern things for what they are? Can we discern things for being discriminated by the color of your skin, which is disgusting, and also having struggles elsewhere, right? But instead, it's like we mishmash it in this whole confusing mess.
It's the woke amnesia. I love that you said that. I never heard it before. But it's the woke amnesia. It's jumping from one topic to one topic to one topic.
You can use it as much as you want.
Stepping over the topic you were just fighting for.
Yeah, they don't know what they want. Again, it's like, hear all black voices, but not yours. All women, except you can't, you don't get Women of the Year, sweetheart. Sorry, not this year. Like,
it's like,
what?
Everyone at the, oh my gosh, there's this wonderful bit about the WNBA, and it's like, oh, women's sports should be paid the same. And it's like, okay, well, how come everyone who went to the women's march are not at WNBA games? Because then they would get the check. Because the only reason sports players get the check is because the fans support it. Act like men. Men act a plumb fool at Buffalo Wild Wings supporting LeBron James. But where are women at supporting a WNBA player?
Well, here's a hard truth. These are two unpopular opinions. Like, maybe women's sports don't bring in as much revenue and are... I want equal pay and more pay than my male counterpart as much as the next gal. But also, again, let's discern. Context matters.
Finance. Who's bringing in the check? Who's bringing in the brand deals? Who brings in the viewers?
And that's, again, where our society is so mishmash, like gender and this and that. It's like, again, men who are perhaps more physical, who are perhaps more aggressive, are more inclined to watch something in which we see that playing out. Whereas women, like... we, I'm not playing into gender stereotypes or anything, but like we are happy, doing another activity for our leisure. I'm just saying, like,
it's just realistic, and the fact that people are being blind to it, and again, the woke amnesia, just blending all these topics together, jumping from one thing to another, you're not able to discern. You're not able to sit there and say, why am I fighting for this? Because this actually doesn't make sense with this. Right. How am I fighting for all women but then it's all biological men in the sports and winning the awards. No one's diving deep into that.
No, they're not. And on top of it,
backwards.
They won't look at the root of perhaps, like, I love individualism and people doing their thing and being
what you
all
do.
things.
You are grown.
100%. But it's funny to me how they don't look at, again, even with the gender thing, like, a majority, not to put blanket statements, but a majority of men perhaps act this way, gay men included, right?
It goes into
Women are over here. That's a whole...
It goes into the bro movie.
I know. That's what I was getting into.
Why did it tank? Because you have a trailer of guys getting blown. What makes you think straight men want to go see that? There's no homo bro. That exists for a reason.
So and last note on this before we move into bros, like with that documentary, perfect example of this, like with the mainstream, even with bros, right? Yeah. I would have loved to have seen, even in that Karen movie, like a left-leaning woke woman of color and then maybe like a right-leaning woman of color having the conversation.
It can't happen.
But it's two of the same. And it's funny because when I said to the filmmaker, I'm like, obviously it's a left-leaning, film. And she's like, well, what would make you think that? And I'm like, well, the imagery, the talking points, right? I would have loved
living
to
in your
see
own
that.
bubble.
Exactly. So Bros is an extension of that, I feel. So Billie Eichner's new romantic comedy, I guess, comedy, and it tanked. Two gay leads. He's one and another guy. And and it tanked. And so he went like a little baby bitch on this whole Twitter tirade, blaming it on the middle of the country, homophobic weirdos, all this. And I have to give it actually to some mainstream outlets, even Variety I saw. They're like, well, maybe like there's a little more to it than just that. Yeah. Like maybe there is, perhaps it was too preachy. You were putting the message before the comedy.
Maybe it was your past tweets condemning half the nation. Maybe it was the fact that you're talking, you created a movie for such a small percentage of the population. Like, why did you ever think that was going to pop off in the box office?
So as a gay man, you're not hopping to go see it. You're not like, this is not in my weekend plans, okay?
No, not at all. No.
Like because it's preachy, because you're like, we didn't ask for this. It doesn't speak for us.
It doesn't speak for all gay people. I watched the trailer and I'm like, okay, obviously I know I'm an odd case. I'm a gay guy with a body count of 4. Like, that movie talks about, you have to hook up on Grindr. You have to go to the pride parades. I don't even do that. So the movie already doesn't speak to me. And then you're talking about there's a scene of people getting blowjobs. What makes you think straight men want to watch men get blowjobs?
Okay, let's take a beat. Straight men aren't even trying to watch Made in Manhattan. Like, who are we kidding, right? Like,
at the end of the day, I feel like it's a lot of women dragging their boyfriends to the movies in the first place.
Again, like stereotypes, but sorry, sometimes stereotypes are ring true.
They're realistic.
But that is what, to me, a viewer had said that. She's like, but do straight guys want to see, like, a straight people rom-com? Like, do they, though?
Do they even want to see that? So, like, this guy, when he goes on a rampage talking about, it's homophobic, it's this and that, you're just salty that your movie tanked. The nation is not as homophobic as you think it is. I've lived in the South for 10 years, and it's been fine.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. The world is not what the media makes it seem.
People say to me, they're like, Nashville's a bubble. They're like, if you go like 10, 15 minutes outside, you'll hear slurs, you'll hear this, it's scary, you don't want to be like caught, as a minority, even gay or whatever it is, like at night with no lights on the street.
There's probably some towns like 30 minutes where I'm like, let me not. But again, it's like, that's probably more safe for me than walking in the streets of Chicago. But no one wants to say that.
It's all relative, right, in perspective.
The South is racist. The South will kill you. The old white men will kill you. Yeah. Okay, what about Nipsey Hussle, PNB Rock, Pop Smoke, all these black rappers, famed, accolades, shot and killed. By who? Wasn't the KKK. But you can't talk about these things. And when you do, you're Uncle Tom, you're racist.
Do you get caught with all that for even everything you just said?
Yeah. Because I'm pointing out the obvious. Like, why should I have to fear Deep South Nashville when it's my own people that are killing my own people. But you want to put out this narrative that, oh, it's the South, you're moving to Nashville. Ooh.
Right.
Doesn't exist. Doesn't. Sorry.
I'm just thinking about what you said because it's like you never hear that.
You don't.
Like you truly, my brain is like trying to like malfunction, like trying to compute.
You're not allowed to say it. Who is killing all our favorite black rappers? Mm-hmm. Who is killing all the black babies? Mm-hmm. But we always want to blame white folks for every single thing in this nation, and I'm tired of it. Mm-hmm. It's drawn out. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to victimize you for being white. I'm just not.
What do you think about, like, before we wrap, last notes on, you know, you talk about these rappers and even this movie Bros, which was, by the way, made by Universal. Mm-hmm. And people, take it from me, I've been on Marvel movie sets. Like, it is not easy to get a movie made. So the fact that this was, like, vetted with flying colors, having at it, like, here's the thing for me is the preachiness of it all and the message. Like, I was thinking about it before this. Iconic gay, so to speak, movie, Birdcage.
So good.
Iconic. Robin Williams, Nathan Lane, iconic.
So good.
What is the difference? Like, now, even you watch this trailer, right, for the Bros movie, the first line out of the guy's mouth, you see the flag and you see the whole thing, and it's like, we're making an LGBTQ museum, da-da-da, and it's like, people. And I think it's this thing of, historically, we have been not heard, we've been suppressed. So now it's not only am I heard, but it's I'm stomping you down and I'm louder and too bad you're
stomping it.
Right? It's like making up for lost time, but like to the nth degree.
And I think that's why the budget got greenlit. Is because the squeaky wheel gets the oil. Who's the loudest subset of this country? Who's the loudest? Gays.
The gays.
The gays. They are so loud, they're quick to cancel, they're mean, they're gruesome. Oh yes.
Really?
That the gays are so loud. Oh, you're transphobic. Oh, you're homophobic. And so no one wants to deal with that. They'll just throw them everything. But they forget they're going to lose their base because it's such a small set of the nation. They're just being loud. Because people like, I'm not saying people like you, but the average American can't say shit because they're going to be called homophobic or transphobic.
Mm-hmm. So that is actually perfect because I was going to ask, I always joke about on my show, like whether it's the Birdcages, whatever, I'm like, I feel like now with this whole like alphabet police, like the good old fashioned gays did not ask for this. Like they are, right?
Thank you.
And so do you feel like, you know, Andrew Sullivan, who's a prominent journalist, love him. He has a Substack, The Dish, and it's really popular. Gay man from the UK, and he is always against the thought police. And he's like, I'm the G. Why are you looping me in with the L, like, we are not clumped in together, right?
The LGB is different from the TQ+. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, who you want to have sex with. Trans, the queer and all that, identity. Has nothing to do with each other. So let them be separate and let them breathe. At that, trans people are erasing what it means to be gay. If I, as a gay man, the only thing that makes me gay is me liking penis. That's it. So if I'm being pushed and told to say trans men are men and to call them men, what does that mean for me to be gay because I like penis and that trans man does not have a penis? So what does being gay mean? How can you fight for both to coexist together when they don't add up?
It's like your identity as a gay man, he argues this, is solely on the fact that I'm a man. I'm attracted to another man. So now if it's all wish-wash away, what does that make me? And again, like the women thing, everything that we fought for. He also makes a good point too, where now in schools, in many schools, they're advocating, right, for all kinds of transitioning stuff. He's like, let me get my coffee for this. And he says, it was such a like strong statement, but he's like, you know, say a little boy is feminine or attracted to certain things, and they're like, transition. Maybe he's not a girl. Andrew Sullivan says, maybe he's just gay. Like, what happened to just being gay? I had an Asian gay filmmaker on my show, and he said to me, it was so funny. He said, gay men are privileged now. And I'm like, just take a minute to think about that. Like, Freddie Mercury is rolling in his grave, okay?
Oh, yeah. I've even thought about that myself. Like, when I was a kid, I was like, damn, I like dudes. That means I'm a girl. I'm glad I didn't say that out loud, or I'm a kid now, so I'll be taken to the butcher shop. And it's like, for what reason and why? Let the kids be kids.
I've
Let
said that,
them
but you're
just grow.
transphobic, right?
Exactly.
You're transphobic, which is
Like,
a slippery
just
slope.
stop. Just let them be. Like, Matt Walsh says this. He's like, it's hurtful that kids are going to their parents and saying, I don't feel okay. I feel like I'm in the wrong body. And the parents are like, yep, you are. You are wrong. You aren't in the wrong body. Let's go get you some surgery. What?
Yeah.
How did we get there?
Yeah.
Why not just talk to the kid? Reaffirm that they're okay. And if they're not okay, there's therapy.
It's like that thing again of being accepted, right?
Yeah.
It's like the cool thing, which is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And even how kids are like cool for being like other. It's like, okay, this is not like a Claire's clip-on earring. This is your body
this is
parts,
like
your
real,
your makeup.
Thing. I remember when I was in middle school, being bi was a fad for girls. That's fine.
Ours was nipple rings. That was a big, which I rued the day I didn't get mine. But yes.
Ours was a fad. Like back in middle school, like that was a thing. Like being bi, but nowadays it's like, no, you're talking about puberty blockers. Yeah. You're talking about chopping off stuff. Yeah. You can't revert from that.
Take a beat.
And the second you bring up the stories of the detransitioners, don't even get me started. Like.
Well, last sort of question for you, my love, because I do bring up woke amnesia. I do, though, critique the right as well, because I feel like they do this in a sense because it'll be like, Hollywood elite are corrupt and they're bad, and why are you even letting these people poison your homes? Yet then when you have one of them, like a Kanye, it's like, oh, hell, right? So again, it's like amnesia, but reverse. Yeah. So your thoughts on that? Could you see why that is? Or are you also like,
I'm a little like, I see why, especially when, we were talking about earlier, the tokenism. It's like, oh, we're listening back to Hollywood. Oh, I hate Hollywood, but let's praise Kanye. Yes. It's like, on one end, it's like, weren't you just saying F Hollywood and all the Illuminati, this and the other? But I think it goes back to them just focusing on how they are today. Whereas there's no one else that is saying, I'm not going to cuss on this album and I'm making a gospel album. Right. It's like, I think they're looking at for what Kanye is now and not his past. Whereas for other celebrities, they're like, oh, they're still bad. They're still making this type of music. They're still doing this and that. But I do get that a lot. When I post things about Beyonce or Kanye, some people are like, oh my gosh, like the devil. And I'm like, listen, I have a lemonade tattoo. Like, you're the wrong person to talk to about this. Don't even get me started.
Right. Lastly, how do we, because you clearly have such strong views, and whether I agree or not, I respect you for having them and being like, take it or leave it, bitch. Like, here it is. How do we, because you do clearly see both sides, how do we bridge that gap? Like, I'm not going to lie to you, like, hobnobbing with really, really uptight, stick up their butt on both sides, like woke liberals and also like really uptight conservatives. I'm like, how do you see it? And white people shitting their pants to even have these conversations, right?
In the midst of fear, facts are your friends. I'll only go towards the facts. And while I'll say, yes, it's wrong that black people are shooting each other and are in these communities and they don't want to learn, it's just like to go on a total rampage. In the same breath, I'll also acknowledge, okay, well, why are there all these payday loan places directly in the hood? Why are there no grocery stores in the hood? Why there's no libraries near the hood? Why they're literally built to just kill each other. So I'll acknowledge that too. But it's hard navigating this world because, like you said, I've been around the uppity people on the right, and it's like, just no, get me away from this. Like some of the conventions, I'm like, y'all are hypocrites. Some of the left, hypocrites. Where do I lie? I lie in the truth. I just look for the truth. I mind my business. I sip my tea, and I'm always taking a second when a topic goes down. I'm looking at it like, what's the motive here? What's going on? What is this person saying over here? What is this person saying over here? And what's matching in the middle? What do they have right? And typically that's where I'm at. Like, where are they agreeing? Or what point are they trying to get to? And I try to go in the middle. That's my tip. Just look for the facts yourself. Don't rely on any media, mainstream media or influencer music artists, whatever it may be, to tell you how to think. You do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. It's draining.
But someone's got to do it, and that someone is us.
Yeah.
Think of yourself, baby. Cancel me, baby.
Cancel me, baby.
Hopefully I didn't flash any of you because I was so into this. And if I did, you're welcome. Christmas came early. Thank you, Amir.
Thank you for having me. This is amazing. Totally have to be back.
100%. In Nashville, like, look out.
Hello.
It's just hello. Just the start. Thank you, my love.
Thank you so much.